Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. The movie begins at a medical complex located in Africa. A doctor named Andrew. He is sitting, feeling sad and deeply affected because the patient he was operating on has died due to a lack of equipment and the dire situation in the country. One of the locals comes to him and urges him to escape quickly because a known terrorist group called Boko has reached the area and is killing any foreigners present. A girl named Sue, who is explaining to children how to have faith in God and that they should never be afraid. Andrew arrives and reveals to her about the Boko group and that they need to leave because their lives are in danger. They quickly get into a vehicle to head to the airport and return to their country. Along the way, they hear news reports about the crimes committed by Boko in the country, and no one seems able to stop them. Sue asks Andrew if they will return here again, to which Andrew replies that there is no need to come back because their equipment has been stolen, and he cannot save any patients due to the current situation. He expresses that life is very difficult here, and he is mentally exhausted and does not want to return. When they reach the place where they will catch their flight, a young man waiting for the plane. They sit in a tent until their flight time arrives. The pilot arrives, and Andrew talks to him because he wants to travel with them. The pilot seizes the opportunity and charges an exorbitant ticket price, treating the passengers poorly by tossing their bags and claiming he cannot take them because the load would be too heavy. It becomes clear that the plane is in bad shape and that the journey will be difficult for everyone. They board the plane, feeling frightened, and there are no functioning seatbelts. The plane starts shaking and making strange noises. Andrew leans in to understand what is happening when, unfortunately, the plane begins to descend and crashes on its own. Everyone is terrified and screaming from the fear of imminent death, and suddenly the plane falls, and everyone faints. After a while, Andrew regains consciousness outside the plane, and everyone is lying on the ground. He searches for his wife to check on her, and finds that she is trapped in a part of the plane. He calls for a man named Ebo to help him, and they try to rescue her. The pilot arrives and tells them to calm down because they are only making her injuries worse. He lifts the debris off her, and they manage to get her out safely, but her legs are severely injured. A young man named Max, who is burying his friend who died in the crash. They place Sue in a safe spot, and Andrew starts cleaning her wound and bandaging it. He talks to the pilot about what happened, but unfortunately, the pilot refuses to talk and gets into a fight with him. Trina hit him. The whole group has landed in a wildlife sanctuary, making it very difficult for anyone to come and rescue them. Tyler, another member of the group, mentions that they only flew for half an hour, meaning they are not far from where they took off, but the area they are in is dangerous as it is filled with predators of all kinds. Their lives will be in danger when night falls. Tyler explains to Andrew that there is a nearby town to the east, and to reach it, they need to walk for an entire day. When the group realizes there are predators in this sanctuary, they become very scared, especially Max, who shows the most anxiety. Tyler explains that most of these animals prefer to attack at night and urges everyone to prepare quickly to move before night arrives. Unfortunately, Andrew is forced to carry his wife because she can't walk, which will slow him down significantly on the way. Sue sees that she will be a heavy burden on him and tells him that she believes God will protect them, asking him to leave her behind until he can return. In the end, Andrew insists on staying with her because he cannot leave her alone. He asks the others to go get help and come back for him. Tyler warns them that if they stay there, they will die at the hands of some wild animal, and no one will be able to rescue them. He talks to Andrew a lot to change his mind. Unfortunately, Andrew remains determined and continues to converse with them, since he knows them from before. Trina convinced them to come with him. Finally, the rest of the group starts to move, including Tyler, Salak, Max, and Thabo. After a while of walking, they decide to take a short rest. Suddenly, Max says they are walking in the wrong direction. Tyler insists that they are on the right path and that he understands it better. He notices that Max is acting irrationally and continues on their way. During this time, Andrew talks to his wife, and after a while, he notices many birds circling around them. Realizing this is a bad sign, he goes to look for a place in the plane's wreckage to hide and writes something strange. While on the road, one of them collapses from the heat and dehydration. Tyler tells them they still have half an hour to walk to reach their destination and gives him some water to drink so he can get back up and continue. He returns to talk with his wife, who expresses her wish that once they get out of there and return to their country, they can adopt a child and raise it together. Unfortunately, when the group arrives at the supposed location, they discover they have indeed been walking in the wrong direction. They find no village nearby and no one to rescue them. Max becomes very angry because no one believed him. He loses his temper and takes Tyler's gun, threatening them, claiming that he is the cause of their troubles. He insists they must return to the place they just left and continue on the path he wanted to take. Tyler calmly handles the situation, insisting that the route Max wants to take is also wrong. He claims he has figured out the correct path and anyone who wants to stay alive must follow him. Thabo repeats that he will go with Tyler, and Salik joins him. Meanwhile, Max walks off alone in a completely different direction. Sue, her wound has bled excessively, and the infection is spreading with a strong smell that begins to attract animals. Andrew feels he hears a noise nearby and grabs a large piece of metal to protect them from any wild animals. Meanwhile, Max continues walking, feeling lost and unsure of the path. Afterward, Tyler and the others return to the location of the plane. Tyler notices claw marks on the door and approaches cautiously to see what is inside. Suddenly, Andrew jumps on him, pulling him to the ground and trying to strangle him, blaming Tyler for his wife's death. He punches Salik in the air just to keep the struggle between them going. Unfortunately, Andrew is the only one left who was with them. The situation starts to calm down a bit as Andrew expresses that a lion attacked them and ate his wife. He laments that he couldn't save her or do anything to help. Tyler tries to calm him down, telling him that it wasn't his fault and that everything that happened was beyond his control. Tyler then talks to Thabo, saying that night is approaching and the lions will gather around them. He suggests they hide in the plane's cabin and close the door. Unfortunately, the cabin can only hold 3 people, and since there are 4 of them, they decide to draw lots, and whoever loses will stay outside. Thabo feels uncomfortable with the idea and goes to talk to Andrew about it. Suddenly, Andrew changes the subject and asks Tyler how much he charges to smuggle illegal items on his plane. Tyler remains silent and refuses to answer. Andrew then grabs a small piece of wood and accuses Tyler of being selfish and greedy, claiming that his greed caused their predicament and that the plane crashed because the smuggled items were too heavy for its capacity. Tyler tells him that he has nothing to do with what he's saying and walks away. After a while, they draw lots to see who will stay outside, and when Andrew loses, he insists he can't do that. He offers Thabo money to take his place outside, but when Thabo refuses, Andrew says he will give him $1 million. Thabo looks at him disapprovingly, then walks away. As night begins to fall, they try to enter the cabin. Andrew approaches Salik, offering him a prayer to protect him, but Salik refuses, wanting to enter with them. At this moment, all the animals come out to hunt, with each one looking for prey. Tyler talks to Salik, giving him firewood and matches to start a fire around them before leaving quickly. Meanwhile, Max walks alone in the desert, feeling lost and unsure of what to do. He hears the sounds of hyenas nearby and becomes very scared, unable to think clearly. Salik falls asleep against his will. Suddenly, they hear gunfire around them, and the others realize it must be Max, since he has taken his weapon. Max keeps shooting to ward off the lion and the hyenas, but unfortunately, his ammunition is running out. In the middle of the night, Tyler wakes up and decides to go to the bathroom. He finds Salik sleeping and tries to wake him up, telling him he needs to stay awake. However, he doesn't notice that a snake has entered the cabin. When Tyler goes back in, he falls asleep again without seeing the snake. Eventually, Salik falls asleep too, and the fire goes out, revealing 3 very frightening hyenas in front of them. They wake up to his screams, and he asks for help, warning them that anyone who goes out will die. Tyler tells them to stay quiet. Unfortunately, Andrew tries to go out and opens the door, only to find a lion right in front of him. The 3 of them quickly close the door again to prevent the lion from entering. At the same time, Thabo feels the snake and gets startled. Andrew keeps stepping on it until he kills it, but he struggles to extract the venom from its body before it's too late. Eventually, everything calms down, and the lion leaves. The next morning, they find traces of Salik's blood everywhere. Andrew sits on the ground, looking defeated, and tells them he won't walk with them anymore and will stay there. Tyler insists they need to stick together for safety, and Andrew hesitantly agrees but still refuses to move. Tyler gathers what they can find to help them on their journey. Before leaving, Tyler tries once more to convince Andrew, who insists he can't move anymore. As Tyler and Thabo continue on their path, they notice a vehicle approaching. They are filled with hope, thinking this means they are safe. Andrew stands still as the vehicle gets closer, and when it arrives, local natives get out with weapons and shoot him. Thabo tries to communicate with them in their language but gets shot too. When they search the plane, they find the stolen cargo, which angers the locals even more. They ask Andrew who is responsible, but he remains silent, seemingly wanting to die to join his wife and having given up on everything. As one of the men attempts to kill him, Tyler confesses that he is the smuggler. Thabo turns to the locals and urges them not to kill anyone. Unfortunately, he is the first to die. The gang decides to keep 2 of them under watch while the others go to fetch a larger vehicle to carry away the stolen goods. Andrew and Tyler sit at their mercy while one of the gang members starts taunting them. He offers Andrew a chance to escape, saying if he runs away in 10 seconds, he won't be killed. Andrew stays silent, showing no reaction. The man then decides to torment Tyler a bit and brings water to drink in front of them, knowing they are extremely thirsty. He pours the rest on the ground in front of their eyes. After a while, the 2 guards fall asleep, leaving Andrew exhausted and weak. Tyler realizes he needs to do something because they're both in danger of dying. He tries to sneak up on one of the guards to take his weapon. Just as he grabs the weapon, the guard wakes up at the last moment and points the gun at him, leading to a struggle between them. When the second guard tries to intervene and kill Tyler, Andrew attacks him to stop him. The shots fired hit the second guard, killing him. Using all his strength, Andrew fights off the remaining guard and manages to get the weapon. He shoots the guard, killing him as well. Afterward, Tyler apologizes for everything that has happened, assuring Andrew that he didn't mean to hurt anyone. He promises to make amends and help him, even if it's with his last breath. Gradually, Andrew starts to believe Tyler and lets him help. Exhausted, Andrew collapses on the ground, and Tyler supports him so he can keep going. He encourages Andrew to push through, telling him they will reach safety soon. After a while of walking, they come across a high rock formation that they need to climb to get to the other side. Tyler attempts to pull Andrew up, but unfortunately, Andrew falls back down. Suddenly, Tyler notices a group of lions approaching their location. He quickly drops down and lifts Andrew with all his strength to continue moving. When they reach the top of the rocks, Tyler sees that they are very close to a village and only have a short distance left to cover. However, he is worried that the lions will not leave them alone. If they keep moving this way, they will both die. He decides not to tell Andrew about the lions to avoid scaring him even more, and reassures him that they are close to the village and will soon be safe. Andrew asks Tyler if they can rest for a moment. Tyler feels deep sorrow for Andrew's condition and agrees to let him take a break while keeping an eye on the lions in the meantime. After a while, the lions return, unable to locate their prey properly. Suddenly, a gust of wind carries the smell of blood to them, leading them back to Andrew's position just in time. They realize he is above the rocks. A scorpion crawls onto Tyler's body and then moves toward Andrew, who remains still to avoid being stung. When the scorpion reaches Andrew's face, Tyler quickly pushes it away, causing a large rock to fall to the ground. The lions see this, and Tyler realizes there is no hope left. He thinks of a plan to save Andrew, as he had promised. He grabs a piece of Andrew's shirt and smears it with some of Andrew's blood to distract the lions, telling himself he needs to focus to help Andrew reach the village. Andrew insists that he won't allow Tyler to sacrifice himself for him, but Tyler is determined. Suddenly, Tyler jumps onto the rocks, drawing all the lions toward him. He laughs to keep Andrew alive and fulfill his promise. After some time, Tyler continues on his way, but he collapses from exhaustion. Just then, he sees hyenas approaching him and is terrified of dying at their hands after everything he's been through. He gathers himself, determined that Tyler's efforts would not be in vain. He grabs a large stick and prepares to fight. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning strikes, frightening the animals away. Andrew feels relieved as the weather improves. He sits down to rest for a moment under the rain and begins to sing. When he comes to his senses, he sees his wife in front of him, who approaches him. Eventually, one of the villagers who had treated her arrives, and seeing Andrew from a distance, he gathers people to help him. They take him back to the village, ensuring that he will be safe in the end. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button to get more new videos.